Yeah, hello. This is K. Nagaraju, contract lecturer, Government Polytechnic for Women Nizamabad, branch Electronics and Communication Engineering. My subject is the microcontroller programming. This particular subject, I am going to explain the architecture of microcontroller 8051. This is the major topic of the first chapter. The subtopic, the what is the basic digital computer, and what is the block diagram of microcomputer, and the functions of each block. This is the main content of this particular class. And before going to discuss about the architecture of the microcontroller, the student must know the concept of what is the digital computer, and what is the microcomputer, and also the microprocessor. That means all the before the introduction of the microcontroller, the student must know the digital computer, the microcomputer and microprocessor. What is the advantage of the microcontroller? What is the disadvantage of this digital computer and microcomputer and microprocessor? We will discuss based on our topics. Here I am going to explain the what is the digital computer. In the previous semesters, the students discussed some subjects related to our microcontroller programming. Like for example, if you know the digital electronics, that means in a microcontroller or the microprocessor, the fundamentally we are using the digital data. The digital data is nothing but in the form of the binary data. They may be hexadecimal system. That means in the digital electronics, the students learn the what is the flip flops, what is the gates, what is the registers, what is the counters, what is the combinational circuit, what is the sequential circuits. All these discussions are earlierly studied by in the previous semesters. And also there may be some little introduction about the microprocessor in the previous semesters, and the operation of the microprocessor, and also what is the pin diagram of the microprocessor, and the advantages disadvantage the microprocessor. There may be chance of in the previous semester we are studied about the microprocessor also. Now here we are discussing mainly on focusing of the microcontroller, about the what is the functionality, what is the operation of the microcontroller, what are the register structure of the microcontroller, what is the pin diagram architecture. Everything will be discussed in this particular subject. The main objective of this particular class, that means on the completion of this class, you should be able to know the basic digital computer. After then know the basic block diagram of the microcomputer and its operation, and what is the microcomputer, what is the functions of each block on the microcomputer. That means in the particular this class, we are able to know the basic digital computer, and the simple block diagram of the microcomputer and its operation, and microcomputer, what is the microcomputer, and also discuss about the each functions of the microcomputer. Then the classification of computers, generally the the designing of the computers, we are following the two types of methods. The two types of computers we are designed, like analog computers and digital computers. In the analog computers, the constructed using circuits that handle continuously varying the voltage signal. That means the analog computer. That means the applied voltage in the form of continuous varying voltage. The constructed using the circuits, what we are using the circuits in the analog computer, that is the variable voltage signals can be used. That means continuously varying voltage signals can be used in the analog computers. That's why the name is called as the analog computers. And digital computers, the constructed using circuits like a digital ICs that handled by the binary signals. That means the digital electronics, what we studied in the previous, the concept and the things like number system and also like flip-flops, the IC design, the TTL logic, everything can be used in this particular computer analysis. That means the designing of the computers, we must know, the student must know the concept of the digital electronics. Here the digital computers, the constructed using circuits like a digital ICs that handled the binary signals. The classification of computers, some main points like the mainframe computers. In the mainframe computers which having the large size, huge capacities and very high speed computations. That means if the size of the mainframe will be high, then automatically the size will be more and the capacities will be used capacities will be there, and very high speed computations can be provided by using the mainframe computers. The mini computers, the medium in size, moderate the moderate capabilities and the medium speed. This is the mini computers. In the microcomputers, the small in size, the small memory and low speed. And computers, the originally of smaller capabilities with large technological developments. Today the microcomputers are comparable to earlier mini or even mainframe systems. Then so the distinction become difficult to differentiate the mini computers and now microcomputers. In the microcomputers, the personal computers comes under the category of the microcomputers. What we are using the personal computers, that is under category of the microcomputers. And here if you want to observe the block diagram of the microcomputer, which having the arithmetic logic unit and control unit, both combinedly we call it as a CPU, the central processing unit. Arithmetic logic unit, control unit, input unit, output unit and memory unit. That means the major blocks available in the microcomputer, like a CPU, input unit, output unit and memory. The simply CPU, it consisting of the arithmetic logical unit, that is the ALU, and a control unit. Here we will discuss each block with the help of the diagram. The basic blocks of the microcomputer: arithmetic and logic unit, control unit, memory unit and input output unit. The functions of various units. Generally the student must know the ALU, the arithmetic logic unit. The name itself, the arithmetical and the logical operations can be performed by with using the ALU, that is the unit of microcontroller ALU. And memory stores the programs and data. The memory main intention is to store the programs as well as the data by using the memory unit. The input unit, through this information is entered into the computer. That means if you want to give this some function to our main computer, we require the some input unit. The input unit is information is entered into the computer like a keyboard, mouse. These are the input units of the computer. The output unit, through this the information is delivered to the user. That means if you want to execute this some function, the output, the help of output units we can delivered or received by the user with the help of this particular output units like monitors and printers. And control unit gives the information to all other units as to what they have to do and when, and controls the entire environment of the computer. That is the important points about the control unit. This is done by issuing the appropriate control signals to the various units. The control unit is one of the important block for the computer to give gives the information to all other units as to what they have to do and when, and controls the entire environment of the computer. This is done by using issuing the appropriate signals to the various units. And the generally it is called as the CPU is the heart of the computer. It says something like the main part. That's why it is compared with the heart of the computer. The human beings, the heart is the one of the important, the main thing for the human beings as a heart in the same as the CPU is a main part of the computer. The ALU and control unit put together is called the central processing unit, and this is the heart of the computer and the basic operation of the microcomputer. Some points related to the basic operation of the microcomputer. With the help of input device and programs and data are entered to the memory. With the help of input devices, the programs and data are entered into the memory. The CPU fetches, that means obtains the instruction from the memory. These instructions are executed with the help of ALU and control unit. The basic operation, basic points about the microcomputer. The first point is, with the help of input device, the programs and data are entered into the memory. The CPU fetches means it obtains the instructions from the memory. These instructions are executed with the help of ALU and control unit. The results are then displayed on the output device like a monitor. The results are then displayed on the device monitor. The results are also stored in the memory. These are the basic like operation of the microcomputer. Here we are discussing the 5 points related to the basic operation. Once again I am repeating. With the help of input unit, that means like a keyboard or mouse, we are entered the programs and data into the memory. The second point is, the CPU fetches or obtains the instructions from the memory. The CPU obtain the instructions from the memory, and these instructions are executed with the help of ALU and control unit with the help of CPU. And the next point is, the results are then displayed on the output device. That means after execution of the function in the computer, the output is displayed in the monitor. And the results are also stored in the memory locations. That means in the memory it stores the results in the computer. That means if you want to execute the one program in the computer, or if you want to create the one file in the computer, that file will be, data will be stored in the memory. This is the discussion about the basic operation of the microcomputer. And here in the form of definition, if you want to discuss, like a digital computer in which one microprocessor has been provided to act as a CPU is called as the microcomputer. That means is another definition or another form of explaining the microcomputer with related to microprocessor unit. That means if you want to take the one digital computer, then digital computer which having the input units, output units as well as the CPU, in place of CPU, if you are using the microprocessor as act as a CPU in our computer, the computer is called as the microcomputer. A digital computer in which one microprocessor has been provided to act as a CPU is called the microcomputer. It is the smallest and least expensive general purpose computer. That means which having the least expensive as well as the size of the computer will be less, because of here in place of computer we are using the microprocessor as act as the CPU. The block diagram of the microcomputer, like we are showing the next figure. Here the microcomputer mainly consisting of the four sections, namely like a microprocessor, input device, output device, and memory. That means here only one basic point is in the digital computer, we are using the like arithmetic logic unit and control unit combinedly, which is in the form of CPU. In place of CPU, it act as a microprocessor. It act as a CPU of the digital computer. The computer is called as the microcomputer. That means here the main part of the microcomputer like a microprocessor, and the remaining three parameters will be same, like input device and output device and memory unit. And if you want to observe the block diagram of microcomputer, which having the memory unit, input unit, microprocessor unit, and output unit. In the memory unit we are having the ROM, RAM, auxiliary memory. The combination of these three combinedly we are call it as a memory unit, and input unit and output unit. Here in the digital computer, we are using the central processing unit is nothing but the microprocessor unit. This is the block diagram of the microcomputer. Here, like if you want to draw the microcomputer in the form of elaborated, that means some little bit of changes. If you want to draw the diagram, like input device processed by the microprocessor, and if the data is stored in the memory, and output device. That means simply which having only main four components are the more four blocks, like input, output, memory, and microprocessor. This is the main block diagram of the microcomputer. And here we are discussing the each block present in the microprocessor unit, that means the microcomputer unit. The first unit is the MPU, that is the microprocessor unit. The CPU of the microcomputer is the microprocessor. The major component of the microprocessors are ALU, register array, and timing and control unit. In the MPU, that is the microprocessor unit, is nothing but the CPU of the computer, same as the CPU as the computer. The CPU of the microcomputer is the microprocessor. The major components of the microprocessors are ALU, arithmetic logic unit, register arrays, and timing and control unit. That is the CPU, MPU. And the second point is the heart of the microcomputer is the microprocessor unit. Same as in the digital computer, the CPU is the heart of the computer. The same way here, the microprocessor unit is same as the microcomputer. And MPU is the VLSI device, very large scale integrated device. That is the MPU is nothing but a VLSI device, and it is a general purpose processing unit built in a single integrated circuit. That means this particular MPU is a single unit, that means a single integrated circuit. That means all the components are fabricated or integrated on a single chip. That is the general purpose, or the general purpose unit is built in a single integrated circuit, and it is the decision making unit which decides the task to perform by the system. That is, the decision is maken or taken by the this particular microprocessor unit only. That means it is the decision making unit which decides the task to perform the system. This is the few important points related to MPU. And also it may be 8-bit or 16-bit or 32-bit processor. The process size based on the bit ranges, like microprocessor or the microcontroller, we are designing the integrated chips based on the application, the advanced. We are using the 8-bit microprocessor or 16-bit type of microprocessor or 32-bit of microprocessor. That means based on the length of the bits used in the microprocessor, the performance will be changed. That's why the MPU which having the 8-bit or 16-bit or 32-bit processor. This is the important points about the MPU, and also which having some points like the MPU execute the instructions of the program and process the data. The MPU execute the instructions of the program and process the what they are instructed in the program that can be executed as well as the processed by the data in the MPU. It is responsible for performing all the automatic operations and making the logical decision initiated by the computer program. That means here the MPU is responsible for performing all the automatic operations and making the logical decision initiated by the computer program. This is the few important points about the microprocessor unit. The second one is the memory unit. The memory unit is used to store the data, address, or instructions in a hexadecimal form. That means here the memory unit is used to store the data and addresses or instructions in a hexadecimal form. That means generally the data what we are taking, the microcontroller memory unit, in the form of hexadecimal form. And the memory unit is subdivided into two parts as primary memory and secondary memory. The secondary memory is also called as the auxiliary memory. The memory unit is subdivided into two parts as memory unit and secondary unit. The secondary unit is nothing but auxiliary memory. The primary memory is also called as the semiconductor memory. And the primary memory is again divided into two number of subunits in which RAM and ROM are important: random access memory and read-only memory. The primary memory is again divided into two subunits like ROM and RAM. The ROM is the random access memory, RAM is the random access memory, ROM is the read-only memory. This is the important points related to the program memory unit. And also one more point is the RAM is used to store the temporary data, whereas ROM is used to store the permanent data. Here the RAM is used to store the temporary data, whereas ROM is used to store the permanent data. This is some important points related to microprocessor memory unit. Here in one more point is the secondary or auxiliary memory is the magnetic memory. It is used to store large amount of data. Example for secondary memory is the hard disk. These are the important points related to memory unit. Again, I am repeating the small discussion of the memory unit. The memory unit is used to store the data, address, or instructions in a hexadecimal form. This is the first point. The memory unit is subdivided into two parts as primary memory and secondary memory. The primary memory is also called as the semiconductor memory. The secondary memory is also called as the auxiliary memory. And the next point is the primary memory is again divided to two number of subunits like RAM and ROM, read-only memory and random access memory. And the RAM is used to store the temporary data, ROM is used to store the permanent data. And the secondary or auxiliary memory is the magnetic memory. It is used to store the large amount of data. Example for secondary memory is the hard disk. This is the important points about the memory unit. Next one is the input devices. In the input devices, the computer receives the data and instructions through the input devices. With the help of input devices, we are giving the instruction to the computer. The computers receives the data and instruction through the input devices. An input devices converts converts the instructions, input data and signals into the proper binary form suitable for the digital computer. The input devices converts the instructions, input data and signals into the proper binary form suitable for digital computer. A keyboard and simple switches are used as a input devices. All of you know the keyboard is the important input device for the computer. Again, I am discussing the point of input devices. The computer receives the data and instruction through the input devices. An input devices converts the instructions, input data and signals into proper binary form suitable for a digital computer. A keyboard and simple switches are used as a input devices. This is the discussion about the input devices. Next one is the output devices. The computer sends the processed data, that is the results, to the output devices. The output device may store or print, display or send electrical signals to control certain equipments. The example of simple output devices are LEDs, that is the light emitting diodes, CRTs, crystal liquid displays, cathode ray tubes, digital to analog converters, the video monitors and the printers, etc. And these are the main blocks of the microcomputer. The main blocks are like input memory or the input devices, output devices, memory and the microprocessor unit. And here the small discussion about the what is the microprocessor and microcontroller, the small definitions, like a small not a definition, the small discussion of the microprocessor and microcontroller. The microprocessor. The microprocessor, any of a type of miniature electronic device that contains the arithmetic, logic and control circuitry necessary to perform the function of the digital computer central processing unit is called as the microprocessor. And a microcontroller, the micro means very small, controller means controls all the operations. The microcontroller has built-in RAM, ROM, input output ports, serial ports, timers, interrupts and clock circuit. The microcontroller may be called as computer on chip. Computer on chip. Here in the microcontroller, micro means generally small. Controller means it controls all the operations. That means the microcontroller has inbuilt RAM. That means the RAM, ROM, input ports and output ports and serial ports, timers, interrupts, clock circuits, all are inbuilt on a single chip. Then the controller is called as the microcontroller. The microcontroller is maybe also called as computer on chip microcontroller or the computer on chip. This is the microcontroller. And another form of giving the definition or the microcontroller which having the microprocessor, internal RAM and ROM, parallel and serial ports, and the microcontroller incorporates all the features of the microprocessor is called as the microcontroller. The microcontrollers are dedicated devices embedded within an application. The microcontroller which having the microprocessor, internal ROM and RAM, parallel and serial ports, and the microcontroller incorporates all the features of the microprocessors. The microcontrollers are dedicated devices embedded within an application. And example, as an engine controlled in the automobiles. In the automobiles, the engine is controlled by the automobiles. That means if you want to take the one vehicle, the vehicle which having the automatic system. That means automatically the engine controls the vehicle. And as an exposure and focus controller in the camera. That means cameras which were having some controlling elements will be there to focus or to zoom or something like that. They are having some controlling things which are having in the camera. That is, we are using the microcontrollers. And the on-chip peripherals are selected depending on the specific of the target applications. And since the microcontrollers are powerful digital processors, the degree of control and programmability they provide the significantly enhance the effectiveness of the applications. And summary. In this particular class, we learn about the microcomputer, the functions of each block of the microcomputer, the various types of the computers, and the working of the microcomputer. Based on this, we are having the some little quiz related to our particular topic. Here, the first point is, the first question is, a digital computer in which one microprocessor has been provided to act as a CPU is called a digital computer in which one microprocessor has been provided to act as a CPU is called. Options: A. Computer, B. Device, C. System, D. is microcomputer. Answer is microcomputer. A digital computer in which one microprocessor has been provided to act as a CPU is called the microcomputer. And next, the second quiz is, the CPU of the microcomputer is a. The CPU of a microcomputer is a. Options are A. Controller, B. Device, C. Material, D. is microprocessor. Answer is microprocessor. The CPU of the microcomputer is a microprocessor. The third quiz question is, a MPU is a dash device. The microprocessor unit is a dash device. Options: DHL, IPL, DLS, or VLSI. Answer is very large scale integrated circuits, VLSI. The MPU is a VLSI device. This is the third one. And fourth one, the memory unit is used to store the data, address, or instructions dash in the form. The memory unit is used to store the data, address, or instructions in the form. Octal form. Options: octal, binary, decimal, and hexadecimal. Answer is option D, hexadecimal. The memory unit is used to store the data, address, or instructions in a hexadecimal form. Next question. Microcontroller may be called. The microcontroller may be called. Option A, computer no chip, computer all chip, computer off chip, computer on chip. Option A, computer no chip. Option B, computer all chip. Option C, computer off chip. Option D, computer on chip. The microcontroller may be called computer on chip. The computer on chip, that means the integrated circuitry of the microcontroller is the on chip computer. That means all are inbuilt in a single chip. That's why the microcontroller may be also called as computer on chip. And next question is, the personal computers PCs comes under the category of option A, mainframe computers, option B, mini-frame computers, option C, microcomputers. Our answer is microcomputers. The personal computers, the PCs comes under the category of microcomputers. Next question is, the ALU and control units are collectively called as. The ALU and control unit are collectively called as central processing unit, that is the CPU. These are the which questions of this particular topic. The frequently asked questions in this particular topic: what is microcomputer? Like a 3 marks question. One YYY's question also they are asking in the laboratories of the exam, practical exams. They are asking what is microcomputer and what is microcomputer, and explain the functions of each block of the microcomputer. And third repeated question is, classify the computers based on their capabilities. Classify the computers based on their capabilities. Classify the computers based on their capabilities. These are the frequently asked questions in the examinations. And also one more question is, draw the block diagram of microcomputer and explain its operation. Draw the block diagram of microcomputer and explain its operation. Basically, in the block diagram of microcomputer, which having the two important blocks, like if you want to observe, this particular two blocks are very important for discussing the microcontroller. Here the main one is the RAM, auxiliary memory, input, microprocessor unit, and output unit. This is the basic block diagram of the microcomputer, and this is the important to draw in the examination of the microcomputer. Both the diagrams are very important while discussing about the microcomputer. Here the input device, output device, microprocessor. In between input device and output device we are having the microprocessor unit and memory unit. Input device, microprocessor, output device, and a memory unit. These are the important blocks about the microcomputer. And also, if you want to discuss about the digital computer, normal computer, like the block diagram of microcomputer, not microcomputer, generally computer, digital computer, like arithmetic logic unit, control unit, combined it is called as the CPU, input unit, output unit, and a memory unit. These are the blocks, and these are the, and also the important discussion of this particular topic, like the basic operation of the microcomputer. The 5 points are: with the help of input device, the programs and data are entered into the memory. With the help of input devices, programs and data are entered into the memory. And the second point is the CPU fetches or obtains the instructions from the memory. And the next point is these instructions are executed with the help of ALU and control unit. And the next point is the results are then displayed on the output device monitor. The results are also stored in the memory. These are the important points related to microcomputer. And one small discussion about the important discussion about the microcontroller. The microcontroller has built-in ROM, input and output ports, serial ports, timers, interrupts, and clock circuit. The microcontroller may be called as the all chip. The micro means very small. The controller means is controlled by all the operations. This is the discussion about this particular topic. I hope all of you understand this particular topic. This is the brief introductory about the before discussing about the microcontroller. That means a microcontroller programming architecture, the block diagram, architecture of the 8051 microcontroller. We will know the discussion about the what is the basic computer, the digital computer, and the microcomputer. After then, the microprocessor and the microcontroller. This is the important discussion about our topic. I hope all of you understand this understood this topic. Thank you, one and all. 44 minutes ago. Yeah, but here we have to discuss the little discussion, like for example, here personal computers under the category of the microcomputers. But here, if you want to discuss about the microprocessor, first they are design the digital computers as well as the microcomputers. Then they may be increase the speed they may be increase the speed of the programming or the execution of the functions in the computers. They thought that some integrated devices, if you are using in our computer, the speed and reliability will be increased. Based on that condition, they are developed the different types of integrated devices introduced in the digital systems. In the digital systems, the microprocessor is introduced in terms of like 8-bit microprocessor, 16-bit microprocessor, and 32-bit microprocessor. All the microprocessors are they performing the operations very well compared to the microcomputers, because of in place of CPU they are using the microprocessor as a act as a CPU in our microcomputers. But in a microprocessor, the external memory will be used and all the ports are not programmable. And if you want to interface the some external devices to microprocessor, they are having the deficiency of programmable ports, or that means the programmable ports are not available in the microprocessor. And if you want to execute the more programs in the microprocessor, the memory problems are also will be facing the problem. That means the memory is not inbuilt in our particular microprocessor. That means externally memory is connected to the microprocessor. Some these are the some important the disadvantages can be overcome then designing the microcontrollers. In this functionality, the controlling, here the micro means small, processor means it process the data or process the program. That means the microprocessor is only for processing the data. In the place of arithmetical operations, that means the ALU and control units, we are using the microprocessor. In the microcontroller is used to control the operations. All the operations are performed as well as the controlled. Then we are using the microcontroller. And on-chip memory. On-chip memory means which having the total inbuilt memory. All the peripherals are integrated on a single chip in the microcontroller. And also the most of the pins available in the microcontroller, they are programmable pins or the programmable ports. These are the importance of using the microcontroller in place of microprocessor. That means based on the application, we are using the microprocessor and microcontroller. That most of the operations, most of the functions, or the most of the applications, we are using the microcontroller. Because of nowadays, if you want to go anywhere, the controlling, for example, if you have some engine, if you want to automatically controlled, that is our intent. That means the human beings are very very much flexible to operate the devices, operate the missions is automatically. That means without any manual power or the manual efficiency, they are doing like that. That means we required the microcontroller to establish all these applications on our regular applications or the regular usage of the usage of the devices. That is the more important task for introducing the microcontroller. And also what type of operation, what type of function we required with the help of microcontroller, that functions can be executed with the help of programming language. The microprogramming is the one of the important programming language for doing these things. Like if you want to know the some function, if you want to require the some function, that function can be executed by the microcontroller with the help of the programming. We are writing the some simple instructions or the simple programming instructions to get the that particular output. The particular function can be achieved with the help of microcontroller program. That's why they are we are so much uh, discussed, so much developed by the microcontroller. After few days, after few things, we are using the like FPGA devices, field programmable gate arrays also we are using. That means the based on technology developments, we are using the different types of components as the controlling or develop the applications in our particular devices. This is the one of the important discussion of the introductory part of the microcontroller. I hope all of you understood the basic concept. Next class we will discuss the extension of this particular class. Thank you, Vanessa.